sit back with a Buddha sack, minds in another world, thinking how could we exist through the facts written in school textbooks, Bibles, etc. Fuck the school lecture, the lies get me vexed up. So I be ghost for my projects. I take my pen and pad for the weekend, hitting nails while I'm sleeping. A 2-day stay, you may say I needed time alone to relax my dome. No phone left and not at home. You see the streets have me stressed, something terrible. Fucking with the corners, have a nigga up in Bellevue at HDM. Hit with numbers from 8 to 10. A future in a maximum state pen. It's grim, so I comes back home. Nobody's out, but sure they do. I roll the 2 Phillies together in the bridge, we call them ooh-ops. He said, nah, niggas caught me busting off the roof, so I wear a bulletproof, a pack of black Trey Deuce. He inhaled so deep, shut his eyes like he was asleep, started coughing when I peeked.
What's up, guys? Sling's coming at you. So what you seen in the beginning of this video was a display put together by me as if I was going to enter the tournament. I mean, I didn't go all out like you guys should be going, but I challenge you guys, each and every one of you that entered the contest, or even if you didn't enter the contest, to go ahead and judge my entry. In a few minutes I'll show you what all the criteria is for judging, but you know, I can dish it out, I can sure as hell take it. So you know, anybody that wants to judge me or give me a score on my display, feel free, especially if you feel slighted in any way by the scores I give you and you want to get back at me. Judge my work. I have no problem with it at all. So that being said, let's get into how I judge World Championship Tournament entries. How I'm judging. And this right here is a pain in the ass. So here's everybody's scores. And, you know, I have to write them all down individually, then transfer them onto a spreadsheet. And so it's not easy. And you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets of scores. There was over 100 people to score this year, and yeah, it's a pain. So things I score on are posing, cutouts, props and backdrop, originality and creativity, and effects. I mean, everybody judges that way, and then I give a total. So I mean, I can just run through this whole list, but I'm not going to. So what I'm going to end up doing is, I asked over on the Facebook page for a few people to submit their videos to a link I posted if they wanted to be critiqued and get a breakdown on, you know, how I think they did. I got an overwhelming response, so I hope you guys can take criticism and just know that when I look at any entry at all, I look at it as a judge, not a fan. I watch every single video more than once. Usually the first time around, it's completely fan mode, and I'm not looking to judge in any way. Second time, I get out my pen and paper, pencil and paper, and I start writing down scores. Usually, if I'm having a hard time judging somebody, I'll go back, or even if somebody wows me, I'll go back and probably watch that video again. Some of them are really clear-cut and they're very easy to judge. They're either really bad or they're good. You know, the really good ones and the middle of the rank ones are the hard ones to judge, because I have to go back and make sure I'm out of fan mode when they're really good and look at it probably a third time and judge again. And I do end up changing a lot of scores. You'll see a lot of scribble on here. You'll see notes. I take a lot of notes so I remember why I judged them a certain way. I put a lot of little codes, like this is the cutout section. If you see a P, that means the placement is off. I'll go into a lot more of that later, but I make tons of little notes all over my pad. So yeah, if it's really good, I'll go back and I'll watch it again, make sure I wasn't all fanned out, you know, fan mode. And if it's really bad, I don't even bother going back. But if it's mid rank, I'll go back and I'll take another look and just make sure, you know, that I got the scores, especially after I've watched everybody at least once, that I'm being pretty fair on all the scores. So anyways, that's enough said on that. Let me get into some of the videos and I'll go into more detail on how I score. So the very first guy that responded was Sam, and I'm totally going to butcher a bunch of YouTube names, maybe even your Facebook names. I'm just going to do it. So buy it factory, I'm not even sure. Just, you'll see. So let's get this started. And while it's playing, I'll just tell you some things. So right here, I count this as a cutout. I think this one's well done. It also is kind of an effect because it's, you know, a TV prop, but it's mostly a cutout right there. Here I'm looking at his backdrop right off the bat. Props. These I'm considering props. So I'll give you the final score, everything at the end. Those lights on the Ghostbuster car, and even the sound effect, which you really shouldn't count, but those are all effects to me. The blue light is an effect to me. There's another cutout, which I think is cut close. The placement on that one is well done. Then there's the cutouts there on the proton effects, which both of those were pretty well done. The placement on the cutouts were a little off. Just like the placement here is a little bit off on the cutout. And right here, the placement on that cutout is off. The trimming and everything of the cutout is good. There isn't really a wow effect with the trimming, or with the cutouts. Also the posing, not really a big wow effect. That cutout, you lost some points on that just because it's kind of hard to read. I know it's saying kaboom, but it took me a minute to figure that out. There, the posing on Slimer, obviously he's a stale figure, but I could see the stand. That goes against posing. I think that pose is epic. I like that one a lot, you know, RIP. So, yeah. So, I know it's going by quick and I'm talking quickly, but I will tell you, I look at it a couple times, I rewind a couple times. There's another cutout, that one's well placed. This effect is pretty good, except the smoke is a bit clumpy, and I can see the stand again. The cutout on that ghost, I'm not really... It's good. It could have had more smoke around the cutout or something. And then the actual word bubble, I know it's probably part of the cutout, but just the placement on it, horizontal like that, doesn't look very good. So that's that video. So I'll show you what I scored him. It's in the highlighted yellow, and you got a 7 for posing, a 7 for cutouts, 7 for props and backdrop, originality and creativity a 6, and 7 for effects. So the posing, like I said, it could have been it was a bit stiff. I understand it's Ghostbuster figures and you're not going to get much out of those, but you know, you got to think about what figures you're going to use in the tournament. If they're not easy to pose, then you might want to use a different one. Cutout wise, it was mostly the placement and the choice of cutouts, like that one lost you a point, the kaboom. So got to make sure that they're easy to read, they're trimmed closely. The placement is a big deal to me. If they're off even a little bit, I automatically don't like that cutout. And you know, and if they're lit well, or if they have see-through ability, you know, if I can see through it, I don't like that. So props and backdrop, I thought it was a little cluttered. So I mean, the dial looked good, the breaking wall looked good, all that. There was some good props in there, but it didn't really wow me, and I thought it was a little cluttered. So originality, I liked the way you had the trap going and the proton effects and everything, but I kind of counted that more on the effects side. Originality, again, the whole display as a whole didn't really wow me, but I thought it was pretty good. You don't see very many Ghostbuster, and you can see up and down the board, it's really hard to get an original idea out anymore. So the effects, the smoke was clumpy. I could see the stands behind some of the smoke, which also goes against the posing. And the effects of the protons were well done. I like that. The effect of the trap, it was kind of cluttered to me, but it still was well done. It was good. So you got an overall score of 34. Yeah, I think you did a good job on that one. Alright, next up is Marty McFly, 4242. So let me just say something before I go on to Mr. John Connor's video, which is the Facebook name. I'm trying to show no bias at all, even in this video. Of course, I show none while I'm judging. So the first video I did was Sam, and I chop it up with Sam on Facebook. Never met him, never really had a very long, lengthy conversation with him or anything like that. The video I'm doing now, Marty McFly, I've met him in person. We're really good friends. One of the best people in the community. I chop it up with him all the time. You know, I know about his family, his friends, everything. So, you know, this is total non-biased when I get into reviewing. I totally go into, like I said before, fan mode and judge mode. So let's get right into it. So again, the smoke here, I'm not a big fan of when it's clumpy like that. I think it can be spread out some more. The pose here on Goku, I think looks good. The ball is a bit high. I'm actually into this show right now, so I've been paying attention to the poses they make. These figures are actually kind of hard to pose, so I'm going to give that to John right there. But yeah, I like the still motion faction going on here. I think that is very cool, and you'll see it again in a minute. The backdrop is always clean, and it's always stuff that he makes on his own. But this particular display, I think he could have done a little bit more with. This effect here of Superman getting punched through the wall, I'm not too sure about it. The smoke there, I'm not too hot on. I could tell that there's a stand under there being covered by the smoke. You could actually see it at that point. And it kind of looks a little cluttered. So the whole backdrop and props and stuff, it looks a bit cluttered there. That shadow, even though this is a picture, not part of the video, everything you submit is up for judgment. So that shadow I didn't like. That cutout is mad clean. Very well done right there. And then this gets a little dark, but I didn't really look at that too much. So here's the still motion again going on. Yeah, that smoke, I'm not feeling it. Not feeling it at all. So I like the actual breaking through the wall. That looks good. And when you look back through it this direction, I think the backdrop looks good. But there's something about it. That smoke I did not like at all. This pose, the pose, oh, I forgot to mention the pose of Superman while he's going through the wall. I didn't like that. This pose is pretty good. I like the red eyes. That's a good touch. That cutout is clean. Placement is perfect on both cutouts. So, all right, let's get into it. So posing, I didn't really like the first Goku pose, and I also did the legs on the Goku pose and the way he was holding the ball. I didn't like that. The way Superman was going through the wall, that just looked very awkward to me. So only got a 6 on posing, and normally one of the top posers in the community. So you could see I'm not, you know, I'm doing what I think is right. Cutouts, I thought that was clean. They were both very clean. There wasn't a real wow factor in the cutouts. The breaking through the wall one was really good. I thought there could have been one on Goku, like him screaming, or even the effect, like the way the effect was moving. There could have been more. So still a good score, just it could have been better. And the edges, see, I got a little E right there. The edges could have been cleaned up on some of the cutouts. So you're going to see little notes from me all over the place. Props and backdrop, like I said, I thought it was kind of cluttered. Both the props and the backdrop. Sometimes less is more, and usually John's got one of the, I should call him Marty in this, Marty McFly, usually has very good props and backdrop, and he makes it all his own. So originality and creativity, I'm not a fan of crossovers. That doesn't mean that lowered the score in any way, but we've seen, you know, Dragon Ball Z figures versus Superman before, you know, whether it's in picture form or video, and I don't know, again, there wasn't a wow factor to it. Effects, the smoke could have definitely been cleaned up. The effects that he did use are ones that come with the figure, which is perfectly fine, but you know, there could have been some more to it. I really don't know what could have been more to it, but I don't know, it didn't wow me, so it didn't push it over the edge for me for whatever reason. Got an overall score of 31, which, so let's just make another thing clear is to move on to the next round, you have to score at least 30 or better. So next up, we got Mad Cameron. He did a Ninja Turtle display, starting here with this cutout. It's a homemade cutout. I usually do not like those. That one's pretty good because usually the homemade ones, they're not as crisp. This one's done pretty well, but it's still, something's off about it. The posing is very vanilla and basic. Nothing, no real wow effect to it. I mean, it's done well. Everybody's placed correctly in this shot, but also the beginning of this shot, very dark. That definitely takes away points from your effect. If I can't see what's going on in your display and can't tell what's happening, then it takes away from the overall effect, and you're definitely going to lose some points. That effect with the smoke coming up out of the manhole, that was pretty nice though. Right here, the pose on this ninja, not digging it. Don't really understand what's happening in the display either, so that's kind of weird. That's a cutout, which it's done well, but I don't really like full figure cutouts with just one figure in the shot. I don't know, it's missing something. So overall, the whole display was kind of on the basic side. It really could have used some more work, maybe some more ninjas in there or something. So the posing is a 6. That ninja really hurt you on that one. The vanilla posing on the turtles wasn't bad, but you know, could have had some more dynamic to it. The cutouts, again, a 6. That full length cutout really didn't do it for me. I mean, it did look cool. It was cut well. And the homemade cutouts, again, even though they're done really well, it's hard to get good points on those. Props and backdrop, pretty basic. It was hard to see what was happening. So again, a 6. Originality and creativity, yeah, there wasn't too much there. The turtle cutout I thought was kind of creative, even though I wasn't a big fan of it, but so that got you some points. But the lack of dynamic posing and, you know, really additional figures to the display really kind of hurt that. The effect, there wasn't much of effect except for that smoke coming out of the manhole, which again, the smoke was kind of too thick, could have been toned down a little bit. The light coming up out of it was cool, and the overall score is a 27 on that one. So if it was just me judging, this video would not make it through. Definitely some things to work on that video, but got to see what the other judges say. Next up, we got Marvelous Nick Toys 117. So this is another buddy of mine. I've actually hung with him more than once. Lives in Florida, same place as me. He's one of the younger guys in the community and in the tournament. So there we go again. Okay, right there, that cutout is done pretty well. It makes sense. Well, it will by the end of the display. The backdrop and props, again with the smoke, I'm going to ride everybody on that smoke. I can't stand that clumpy smoke. The camera works a bit blurry and it's a bit dark, so that's going to take away from the overall effect of the video for me. Posing is done really well on some figures, okay on others, and then some of them really needed some work. That cat pose is good. That Spider-Man pose is not bad, so is the Iron Man pose, but what's he leaning up against right there? I mean, I nitpick on every little thing there. That's a good cutout, and this is a got you covered style display, so that cutout isn't in the original concept art, but so it's Hulk holding up a slab, so the props really aren't there. I mean, I know it's a got you covered and everything, but sometimes you got to go a little above and beyond, like you did with that extra cutout on Hulk, because this is just a backdrop, but the category calls for backdrop and props. There's no props at all, so that's going to hurt your score on that category. And there's the cover shot. So Nick got a 7 on posing. Like I said, some poses were spot on. Hulk's pose was really well done, and then some were lacking. So cutouts, there was no real wow effect cutout again. I know it doesn't always have to be that way, but this is above average score, so it's not bad. And the placement, that's why I got a little P there. The placement of the cutout could have been a little bit better. The 2 dialogue cutouts, they weren't really straight. So, I mean, even if they're crooked a little bit, even if you're turning your camera like this while you're on the cutout and it's crooked, yeah, that's going to hurt you. So, I thought the backdrop was good. Him holding up the stone, the mountain, that looked really good, but there was no props. So, you know, really, you could have almost got a 5 for that, but you know what? I gave you a 6. I'm not changing it now. But looking at it again, like I just did, I didn't notice any props at all. I really could have gave you a 5 on that, and I probably should have. Originality and creativity. You don't see very many got you covered style displays in the tournament. So I thought that was pretty creative. It got above average. I actually tried to pull that shot off before, just a picture of it, and I couldn't figure out what to use for the mountain. I mean, this is way before foam came into play and everything. So I was trying to use real rock and stuff, and I was damaging my Hulk figure. And so, anyways, I'm going on a tangent. Effects, there wasn't really much except for the smoke, and I did not like the smoke. The placement of it wasn't that good. Yeah, it was lacking. So anyways, overall score of 30. That would have got you qualifying for the next round from me. Okay, I know I said I was going to do between 5 and 7. I only did 4. That's all I'm doing. I'm just going to try to scroll through as much of this list as I can and kind of give you quick highlights on stuff I liked. All the scores will be posted. All my individual scores will be posted. So this video, I'm actually making it before they're all done. So if you got any scores you want to see from me, wait till they're posted. I'm not going to give everybody their scores. If you want a breakdown after the scores are posted, then feel free to ask me. Like if I gave you a low score on something and you want to really know why, feel free to ask me either in the comment section of where the scores are going to be at, or if you don't want everybody else seeing, feel free to PM me. I'm going to tell you, I'm probably going to get tons of questions, so if I don't answer every single question you have, you know, don't get pissed at me. There's, like I said, over 100 videos, so everybody wants to know what they could do better. Just listen to what I'm saying about everybody's video and know that you can do these certain things better. And I'm going to run through some just basic scenarios before I start running through the rest of the videos. Posing, you know, it doesn't always have to be dynamic posing, but if you're doing vanilla posing, it better be a wow display in some other type of way. Otherwise, vanilla posing just is not going to cut it in the tournament. And, you know, you got to have some other things going on. Stands, if I see your stands, that takes away from points on posing. Not all the time. I mean, if I barely see it or something, it's not really a big deal. If it's noticeable to me, or the way you're trying to hide it is really noticeable to me, that's going to affect your score on posing. Cutouts, they should be trimmed, edged, meaning, you know, if it's a word bubble like you can kind of see in the screen here, it should be black around the edges. I'm notoriously bad at that. So for you guys to get it right is, I totally understand if you don't. But yeah, I am not good at that. Placement though, I think I do a good job, and I really look at placement and what type of cutout you're actually using. You know, like if you're punching somebody, the cutout shouldn't say like, you know, sweep or something. I don't know. It should say like pow or crack or whack or something. So, you know, placement and the type of cutout you're using, you can kind of see in this video here, he's using an Iron Man cutout. You know, that's an Iron Man style cutout on Iron Man. So, but you can also, I don't know if you can make it out or not, but the cutout over Thanos' face, you could tell that he added the, what's it called, the stem. I can tell that it was added afterwards, so that isn't good. The I Am Groot was not really edged well, and the placement of it was kind of crooked, and yeah. So anyways, I'm not going to go into too much more. Cutouts are very important though. The way I score it, I go posing, cutouts, props and backdrop, originality and creativity, and effects. So I score it in that way because I think that's the importance of each of them. So posing and cutouts are the two most important things of ACBA, in my opinion. Remember, these are all my opinions. So the other things I'm looking for are props and backdrops. You know, you don't always have to have a dynamic dio and stuff like that, but if you're going to use something you created, show it off, make sure it's lit up, make sure I can see what's going on, make sure I don't see the edges of the display. You could see in the display I posted in the beginning of this video, when I panned out and zoomed out, you saw the edges of my display, so that always takes away points. If I'm seeing your kitchen sink or your bedroom, you know, the posters in your bedroom wall, yeah, you're going to get a low score. Props, it's not always more that counts, it's placement of props that really matter. You know, here you can see there's a chair knocked over, there's a ladder in the background. Don't really know if you need that ladder, but the rest of the stuff in the prop category looks great here. The table is kind of short, where Scarecrow's sitting there, but yeah, it's not bad. So, and also shadows on the back of your backdrop. I look at that too. Originality and creativity. You know, is it something I haven't seen before? Here's like a ring display. I've never seen anything like that before, even barely in pictures. Now I know this figure just came out, but I think it's pretty damn original. It's funny that he's like jumping back and getting scared by her coming through the TV. Yeah, so, and it's original. It's something I haven't seen before. Even if there's 20 videos like it in this tournament, nobody knows what you're going to post in this one. So I don't get stale by seeing, if I see about 8 or 9 ring videos in this round, it doesn't get stale to me because it's still something I haven't seen in the tournaments prior to this, or even on the Facebook page or other contests that have always ran on Facebook as part of ACBA. So, and lastly is effects. So I think lighting is a big part of the effect category. Some people will disagree with me, but there isn't a lighting category right now, so I use lighting as an effect. That lighting coming through the grate on the stairs, that's an effect to me. It's also part of the props and backdrop, but if that was not lit up, it would still be a prop and backdrop, and I would grade it accordingly. But the light up of the prop is also part of the effect, to me. And so that's how I judge that. You know, here, I'll kind of go through a couple things here. The cutouts, I'm not too hot on the cutouts. Like the Peter cutout and the Spider-Man suit over there on the side. The props are really just random and all over the place. It doesn't, I mean, I know it's supposed to look like a room, and it does to a point. When he pans around, I can kind of see the edges of the walls and stuff, and I lose the effect of being in the room. Another thing about effects, let's see if I can find one. This was pretty well done. The props in this one were great. The backdrops, I mean, it felt like I was in a school. It was pretty cool. I didn't like how the desks went right up to the chalkboard. I know that's me nitpicking, but it's just the way it is. This cutout could have used more trimming around the edge, but I like this display. Mad Mexican, I thought he did a great job with his props and backdrop. That was all done really well. The posing was pretty good on that one, except for that trooper that you see right here in this picture. I think that one was kind of weird looking, but that was well done. Captain McKay, he came with it. I thought that was great. It was kind of dark. It's supposed to be dark. It was like a mood display, but you know, it wasn't so dark that I couldn't tell what was going on. He used some creative cutouts in this one. I thought it was well done. And I didn't see too many Godzilla displays, so that was creative also. I like this display, the Transformers. I thought it was very, the posing was really well done, and the cutouts were pretty good too. Could have used some trimming on them. Remember, when you look at the cutouts, like in this picture, you might not really notice it because it's going to be hard to see it off my TV, but I can see every little thing when you zoom in on it. So if there's a flaw to your display, you might not want to zoom in on that part of the display. This was a good display. I liked most of the stuff that was going on here. Can't really remember anything that I didn't like about. Oh, I didn't really like the cutout for the arm movement on Doc Ock on that one. It was a bit thick. This one was pretty good. The props and backdrop, it was cluttered, but it was well done cluttered. It was, I could tell it was supposed to be that way. It was just kind of basic. Nothing really popped. Derek's, the thing I didn't like about this is I saw this picture in the Facebook community. It was just a post, and it wasn't really a video. It was just a pan of the picture, so him just panning back and forth. I mean, the picture itself is nice. The cutouts look great. The backdrop and props, I mean, not too much of props, but you can't really see Deadpool is holding like a Game Boy, so that's a good prop. It's only one, but it's placed well and it's well done, but this being a picture didn't do anything for me. It kind of really turned me off to the whole video. Okay, I got to kind of hurry up. This video is going to be super long. It might have to be 2 parts, I don't know, but I thought this was a good display. This one was pretty well done. I think this one was missing a cutout, or maybe that was Stash Bins I was thinking about. I don't know. Don't miss anything. Don't miss an effect. Don't miss a cutout. You miss anything, you're going to get a 0 and you're not moving on. Make sure you put something in there. Even if you only get 1 point for it, it's better than nothing. This one was pretty cool. And you can see here, there's a lot of props in here, but it's not cluttered. I don't know, it looks, their placement is right on these props. That was a nice display. There was a few effects that were off. Those are homemade cutouts. I'm not digging those at all. That was a pretty cool effect right there. Very basic display. This one needed something. This was good. This was really good. I'm not even going to go into everything else. I like that one a lot. This probably my favorite display of the whole competition. This was just elaborate. It was awesome. It had everything from props to effects to backdrop to lighting to, you know, posing, cutouts. Everything on here was just awesome. I mean, this definitely got the highest score out of anybody, I think, from me. This was an overall 43. That was the highest score that anybody got from me. So, anyways, and there is a bunch more, but I'm going to cut this video now. Damn, this video was actually pretty good. I could go on for days. The effects on this one and the cutouts and everything were pretty awesome. Could have used some extra trimming on some of the cutouts there. This was a killer display. I was kind of in too much fan mode. I had to watch this 3 times to get out of fan mode because I just love this display. But, you know, I had to critique it just like everybody else. Cutouts in that one were placed kind of awkwardly. This one was just all over the place. It was missing some stuff. Awesome display right here. Props and backdrop effect. It was funny. It was creative. This was probably one of the most creative displays. And yeah, I could keep going on. This one kind of had movement at the end. Might actually get disqualified for that. You cannot have any change in your display when you are posting. So even if it's the slightest change in a picture at the end, I still graded it as far as the display went, but that picture slideshow at the end where the display changed could end up getting you disqualified. So, plus I think that one came in late. The posing here was kind of off. I like the whole still motion. Some of the poses were awesome. That particular pose that we're looking at right now, I'm sure it's hard to see, was kind of off to me. I wasn't really digging that one. This was a very creative display, very cool. But as creative as this display was, I've seen Configure use this exact setup in another contest, whether it was last year's tournament or something else. So that kind of took away from the creativity factor for me. I can't really remember what happened there, but you can see those cutouts are placed. The one all the way to the right placement is not that great. The trimming and the edging on it isn't that good either. The posing there looks kind of off too on the guy on the left. This was Chris's. I can't remember. Oh, the backdrop on this wasn't the greatest. You can see it here in the picture. You see the wall with just a black backdrop behind it. It needs to be darker if you're going to do something like that. So you can't really tell that it's a piece of paper back there and not just your display ending. I already went through that one. This had some good stuff to it. Had good posing. I like the flow of the video. The effects of that webbing are pretty awesome. I dug that one. This was just a fun display. I like that backdrop going on. And I'm really going super long here. So the still motion and the posing here, just out of sight. The only bad thing is the posing on the goons. And I've seen these goons used a lot. So that's also a negative. These guys get used in a lot of displays. So the posing on the goons aren't the best. You can kind of see it here in this picture. No, you can't because it's blurry as shit. But I don't know why it's getting so blurry on me. Anyways, the placement of the cutouts aren't the best. But the posing there was just, on Spider-Man, was awesome. Super fun display right here. I can't really remember the things I didn't like about this one. This had some good stuff going on. Usually the Marvel walkies blow me away with their displays. This one was kind of just basic to me. The backdrop, I mean the props and backdrop. And the cutouts weren't placed that good. The posing wasn't that good in that one. They've done better in the past. I think they know that too. So there was just some. The beginning of this video I liked a lot. Towards the end, I don't really know what's happening, and that cutout definitely needs some trimming and edging to it, and placement of the cutout too. Of course, the backdrop on this, I think it's the only 10 I gave in the entire competition, is the props and backdrop here. And Al figures just, he always blows it away with his dioramas. So, and no different here. The posing definitely needed some work. Cutouts, I can't remember if I like the cutouts in that one or not. This one was a moving display right from the get-go, so it didn't have anything for me to judge at all. It got straight zeros on that one. You know, could have been nice. The backdrop and props and everything weren't that bad. The posing was actually good, but it moved the whole time, so I had nothing to really judge at all on that one. And I don't think there were any cutouts either. This was a well done display. Overall, just very well done. Everything in it was good. Everything in it also had a couple flaws here and there. This overall was a good display. The creativity is lacking in this one. Magneto, holding everybody up. We've seen that plenty of times. So that definitely drawn back. The backdrop is just black, but it doesn't matter. You can't see it here in this picture, but the base is cool and the props are good. So that black backdrop, where it doesn't wow me, it also doesn't hurt the display. This one had really no backdrop to it. It could have used some work. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about that. This one, you can see there, his window, every stand. Definitely needs some practice. The posing, you did pretty good on the posing. It could have been, if it was contained and had there's no cutouts either, and some effects. I mean, you're missing a lot here, but I can tell that you're working on it. Keep working. Already went through his. I like the flow on this one. Some of the poses were kind of off, and I think there was some problems with the cutouts, but the flow, the backdrop and props on here are awesome. I think that got a 9. The cutouts got a 10 here. Actually, I'm going to lie. Al Figures did not get a 10 for his backdrop. Something about those bricks laying on the ground I didn't like. I changed the number to a 9. The cutouts here from Michael Wisman are the only 10 I gave in the competition. They were clean, crisp, they were placed correctly, and they were just well done. The thing that was missing here was really backdrop and props. This one, the backdrop, the stairs, you can see that there's a piece of paper behind it. You can tell that that's all paper surrounding it, or cardboard, whatever it may be. I think if you would have taken the stairs out and put some more like a flag back there or something, it would have worked better for you here.